of this exists because of me.
What you're doing here, what you have done.
Nothing in Jurassic World is natural.
I never asked for a monster.
In 2010, Simon Masrani gave Dr. Wu probably one of the hardest tasks he'd ever been given: to create a whole new dinosaur, one that had never been created before, nothing the world had ever seen before, something that would give the parents nightmares. Now, while we do know that in Jurassic World we were given the Indominus Rex, the first hybrid dinosaur to ever be created, but it wasn't the first hybrid dinosaur to ever be created. Over all the way on what we're going to call Site C was a dinosaur, if you even want to call it that. Something that was created in the process to try to give Simon Masrani and Dr. Wu what they really asked for. Something bigger, cooler, and with more teeth. We do know for a fact, thanks to Krebs, that it took quite a few tries in order to get things correct. And while the Indominus Rex is not at all name-dropped in Jurassic World Rebirth, we are given two of the mutants that were worked on in order to make Simon Masrani and Dr. Wu's dream happen. We of course got the Mutadon, which was a hybrid between a Pteranodon and a Velociraptor, and the D-Rex, or the Distortus Rex, which actually is not name-dropped as the Distortus Rex in the film. But what we do know is that it took 25 tries just to get this particular creature right, and they didn't even get it right. No, it took 25 tries to give us this Balrog Rancor Xenomorph hybrid that was supposed to be a new type of dinosaur. But what we were given was a Tyrannosaurus Rex monstrosity. What in the genetic process went wrong, causing this creature to not only have an extra set of arms on the chest that resembled the arms of a Tyrannosaurus Rex, but large gargantuan arms that caused it to have to lumber around like a large primate. We do know that genetic mutations are primarily caused by errors during DNA replication and exposure to mutagens. These errors can occur spontaneously during cell division or be induced by external factors like radiation or chemicals. The appearance of the Distortus Rex is probably because of the errors in the DNA replication. During cell division, DNA is copied to create new cells. Sometimes mistakes happen during this copying process, leading to changes in the DNA sequence. These errors can involve substituting or deleting or even inserting nucleotides, which are the building blocks of DNA. Such errors can result in mutations affect how genes are read and proteins are made. This could be what causes that large bulbous head or the extra set of arms. Like I say, I'm not quite sure what they were intending to make when they created this animal. Were they intending on making a larger Tyrannosaurus, or were they wanting to create something literally the world had never seen? Were they intending for this thing to have 4 arms and a little extra set of appendages? We do know that the doubling of heads, animals with 2 heads are born honestly quite a lot, especially within, reptiles, and you do see a lot of it within cattle and cows, and pigs. So it's if anything, the 2 heads is probably the most common occurrence that you expect. You do get extra appendages, but these were pretty much very equal on each side. You didn't have that occasion where it's like one arm's larger than the other, or you get the, like there's 3 limbs on one side and 5 on the other. You don't get that violent of a mutation, but this pretty much looked like it was intended to look the way it looked. Now, the question that we have in this situation is, we know that, Dr. Wu was in the process of trying to create this creature, and as Krebs said, you couldn't do that on a theme park full of guests, so they had to do this over here. So Dr. Wu was pretty much aware, probably 100% aware, of what we're going to call Site C, because I absolutely hate pronouncing the name of the island, St. Hubert or whatever you want to call it. But the question is, how many of these failed attempts was Dr. Wu aware of? Did he even know that it took 25 attempts for this D-Rex to even be created? Does he even know that the D-Rex exists? The problem we run into is the continuity of the Jurassic franchise. When we look all the way back at Camp Cretaceous, we are told by Dr. Wu that the Scorpius Rex was his first hybrid that he ever created. And we know that the Indominus Rex was probably created somewhere around 2015, which is when we get to experience the actual park itself. The park had been opened in 2010 and had been functioning for about 5 years before the Indominus incident happened. So with us knowing that the Scorpius Rex, according to the canon, if it is 100% canon to the Jurassic franchise, we know that the Scorpius Rex was his first attempt at making a hybrid. So I would say the best guess is that Dr. Wu honestly didn't even know about the creation of the Distortus Rex. What would he have done with this creature? Definitely not put it in the park. As, Krebs said, a lot of these animals were hard to look at. In fact, I'm not even sure if Dr. Wu would appreciate the Mutodons, as they looked pretty monstrous. While the, Indominus Rex still looks very terrifying, it is very scary. It has those interlocking teeth, those dark eyes, and just everything about it was just absolutely terrifying. It still kind of doesn't hold a candle to the Distortus Rex, and I don't even know if we were to put the Distortus Rex and the Indominus Rex up against each other, how that would go. I mean, we know that the Indominus Rex can control raptors by, calling to them because it is part raptor, so maybe it would have been able to have a pack of raptors being able to go to it as its command to fight off the Distortus Rex. That's, I think, just kind of a fever dream at this point, having the two of those go head to head. That'd be very interesting, but it makes you really wonder if Dr. Wu were to have found out about this creature, what would they have done with it? We do know that they think Krebs said that it was about $72 million per species that they had to create. So if they were to have to euthanize said creature, that would be an absolute waste of money. So better to just let it go, let it live, and kind of just write it off. So if you were in Dr. Wu's shoes, what would you have done with the Distortus Rex? Do you think Dr. Wu would have even tried to pass it off as a new species and maybe have brought it over to Jurassic World for Masrani to see? Or do you really think that he would have done the right thing and been like, okay, we need to handle this creature, and I think it's best we put it out of its misery? I know they told us that we were supposed to feel sorry for this animal, but I truly don't feel like we're supposed to when we watch this film. There's nothing about it that makes me feel like I feel horrible for this animal. The only thing that a lot of people seem to question about with the Distortus Rex was why it only had about 3 minutes of screen time in the entire film. Why was this animal not wandering around the island causing more damage? For an animal like that, you think the whole island would be completely barren of life because it would have completely wiped everything out. But in this circumstance, I really feel like the Distortus Rex just stuck to the area that it was in because that's where it grew up. That's where it was technically born, so it didn't know much else, or even it had the ability to even wander around the island. It probably didn't think it was safe to do so, even though it was such a large animal. That's how we can tell the difference between the Indominus Rex and the Distortus Rex. The Indominus Rex knew there was more out there and it needed to go and find it. And then when it got out there, it realized how powerful it was. Maybe it's that the Distortus Rex just doesn't know that yet, but after 17 years of being free on that island, you think it would have known by now, hey, I can wander from location to location. Or every time at night when the power comes back onto the gas station, causing all the music and everything to come back to life, it would kind of attract a lot of animals to that location. So it probably gets its food and nutrition all from that point. It would only have to wander down maybe to a nearby river or lake in order to get some of its water intake. But for food, it probably doesn't have to travel very far. A lot of animals would just congregate to that spot. So let me know what you guys think. I know I kind of wandered off a little bit with why the Distortus Rex only appears such a short bit, because you would think it would give little breadcrumbs throughout the film to let people know, hey, there is a monster in this jungle here that is not natural, even though dinosaurs created by science are not natural. But you get the idea. Let me know what you guys think below. What do you think Dr. Wu thought when it come to the Distortus Rex? Do you think he knew about this creature, or do you think they kept this hidden in the books for Dr. Wu not to find? If anything, it took quite a while for this creature to live on this, or to get to the size that it did. And with 25 attempts at the Distortus Rex, you would think Dr. Wu would have been privy to a little bit of that information, or maybe even had traveled to that island. But I guess if he were working on Isla Nublar, he probably had his hands full, so he didn't get a chance to step away and do any of that. So let me know what you guys think below. This is a very interesting theory in my opinion, and I would love to know what you all have to think. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video as we discussed the Dr. Wu and Distortus Rex controversy. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. This is Brooding Gamer, signing out.